Hey guys, let's take a quick look at how to input games, which is going to be one of the main features going forward using this program. So as your coach, me having access to your games before I see you is very important. We can save a little time if I happen to notice there's an opening problem or some research that I can do at home before showing up at your house. It's also really good for you to do some work on your own before I show up, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So let's concentrate with this short video on number one, creating a database called My Games, and then learning how to input the games and do some self-analysis. Okay, so I am not logged in. This is the opening Chessbase account page. You'll see the login right here. So I'll click that on. I'm going in as Mike WCA. My password is the Great Amori. I'm just kidding. So now that I'm in, I click Home, and what you want to do to access the database I'm talking about is you want to go to My Games, My Games Cloud. So just click that on, and you will see this here, and I do hope I'm capturing enough in the screen here. There may be a couple of things missing on the left-hand side here, but I'm pretty sure this is going to show up enough for what you need. All right, first thing you have to do is create a database called My Games. So one of my students wants to call it My Awesome Games. If you think all your games are awesome, by all means. So I need to create a database. So there it goes. New database, just type in, I'm going to put in My Games, although some of my games are awesome, some are not. So at the bottom, so here, as soon as you do that, you then see all the list of databases that you now have. The computer comes with some, and then, for example, if you do tactics, anything that you do in this program is saved in this cloud clip here, so you can go back in, even if you were playing games online, everything gets saved here, and then you can work with individual databases as well. Okay, I want to open My Games, so I just highlight it, click OK. Now, this is a 4-move checkmate that I had put up from a different position, but let's assume that you're coming here for the first time, you played a game in Norwalk. Okay, you come over and you want to click New Game. Right here on top, click New Game, and what you can start doing is putting in the moves to your game. Now, let's say you played white, you played a Ruy Lopez. If you were black, if you look up here on top, you can just flip the board and you can input from your own perspective. Very important feature. Okay, so there you go. And let's say you played a Ruy Lopez as white. Your opponent kicked you, and let's say your coach wants you to take here, and you take back. Now, what can you do on your own? In this particular opening, if you look down at the bottom, there is a live book running here, and it says Premium, which is the account that you have. So basically, you can look down here now and see the moves that are most often played in this position by white and by black. So it's white's move here. Let's say you've been taught to castle, and then you get hit with this funny move, bishop to g4. And in your tournament game, you played h3, and your opponent played that funny looking move, pawn h5. Now remember, I'm giving you something of a lesson of how to use the opening features here, as well as the main focus, which is just how do I input my games for my coach. Okay, so black played the move h5, and then you said, hey, that is a free bishop, and they take back, and let's say you lost this game, you got caught into some trap. Okay, you'll look down here and see that white can survive with the move d3. But let's go a little deeper. Let's click this engine up here. And all of a sudden you have all these different lines that are being computed for you, and you'll see that the best one will always be on top. So it says minus 4-1, and then it just changed because these engines are constantly calculating. In this position, you should see that you need to leave this knight here. A lot of scholastic players will move the knight back to this square, and all of a sudden look down at the evaluation. You're completely lost. So let's say this happened to you in the game. Well, you don't need a coach to figure out what happened. You do if you don't do any work. But if you do the work yourself, the computer is telling you, hey, look, Queen H4, and you have a serious, serious issue. How are you getting out of this? Well, you're really not. And, you know, you can look at this yourself. You can do it with the engine. But this is the game continuation that you played, correct? Now, watch this. If you look at the take back buttons up here, you can go back move by move, or just click into the notation where you think you went wrong. So let's go back to where black played the move H5. If you look down at the main moves that white plays in this position, you'll see that the one that you chose, pawn takes G4, is third on the list, and the result down here is not so great. You'll see that if you play the move D3 instead, that white had scored 60%, which is more than half, obviously, by playing the move D3. So what happens is you can then put the move D3 in, and you'll see that it comes here with a separate line. So you have two number 7s for white. The bold is always the move that you actually played. Now, some of you I've asked to get the book by Sunil, Best Lessons of a Chess Coach. His method is the same. As a matter of fact, it's a universal method that whenever you post a move in bold, that's the move that was actually played. You will see in a different print without the bold, or sometimes with italics, you'll see a different line. And that's all that means. Now, let's go a little bit further. Here's D3. What I'm going to do for you, or what you're going to do for yourself, is when we start going over some of these games, there's going to be analysis that you absolutely cannot forget. So we're going to be working with an opening trainer. That's going to come later. For now, we're concentrating on inputting our games and cleaning up the major mistakes. So if you went back and followed this line, 8 takes G4, takes, putting the knight here, we learned a little trap. We know that white is completely lost after Queen H4. Great, but that's not what we're looking at now. The move D3 is what you should have played. As a student, you might not fully understand why that move is considered best, so here's what you can do. You see how you've lit up the move D3? If you come down here and start playing around with these buttons, let's do one at a time again. I don't want to do too much in one. I'm going to click text, and that's going to give me a little box over here. And I'm going to write, ask the great Amori why? Question mark. I'm pressing enter, and look what comes up here. All right, now let's say you're done inputting the whole game. Obviously, you don't want to lose all this information that you've done. The other beautiful thing about this program is this is all up in the cloud, meaning like I have the standalone version of Chessbase, and I'm not always so good at backing up my stuff, which means, you know, if something happens to my computer, adios. Okay, so now it's time to save your work. You click save, and if it's the first time you're adding information, you want to click save as new. Okay, we were playing white, so I'm going to put my last name, my first name, the name of my opponent, and where we played. Very, very important. Norwalk could be, you know, Connecticut Chess Club, Fairfield County. You can put whatever you want, but I want you to put the information in. We were white and we lost. Click 01. Everything should go in. City should be Norwalk again. So I'm kind of just making this stuff up as I go. If you play in an NSCF tournament, any tournament anywhere, put the complete information. Now you see where it says ELO here? You can put your opponent's rating, and I highly, highly recommend that you do this now. You could ask me, why didn't we do this stuff when you were rated 900? I could talk to you for hours about why we didn't do that stuff. If you're getting to 12, 13, 14, 1500, it's a totally different story. It's time to get a little more serious about what you're doing. A couple of you who are watching this video got to these levels very quickly. So, you know, this is going to be new for you. Not for me, for you. Okay, you ready? Rating? I don't know, what is he, like 2830? And I don't know what I am, like 2030 or something like that. It's kind of embarrassing to be an expert and be outrated by 800 points. Ouch. Okay, click OK. It's done. Now, the next time you log in, you click Open Your Databases, click Open Database. We want which one? My Games. Click it on. And look at that. There's all the material with the information saved. Now, when you start the game over, during our lessons, there's going to be some information that's going to change. So let's say after this move, it turns out with some work and some analysis, some recommendations from me or another coach anywhere, let's say we're not crazy about this move, castle. We may want to try something different. Okay, so from back here, it's white's move, and let's say you look down and you say, hey, I want to know something. Why do so many masters play this move D4? Now, you can see that the result for white is 54% and D4 is only 46%. Do not go crazy looking at the differences between these numbers thinking that one is superior than the other. Sometimes it will be, but in a lot of cases, the computer can make you crazy. When you look at these evaluations down here and you see 0.17, that's less than a quarter of a pawn. Sometimes if it goes from 0.17 to 0.19, you might think you did something wrong. And that is completely ridiculous. So we are going to use the engine to help us with tactical situations, but we are not going to make this engine drive us crazy. It is without question the biggest problem at this level is being totally locked into the computer. When you're 900, 1,000, our biggest problem is the great fear of rating. As you get stronger, it becomes the attachment to the computer. Okay, so I'm giving you a little warning here. All right, so let's continue with or finish off this first video lesson. All right, we got to this position and we suddenly want to look at the move D4. You'll notice it is not part of our main analysis because don't forget, we stopped at Queen H4. You see how it says 0-1? Well, if we were inputting a full game, the rest of the game that you played would have been here. Then you see the 0-1. So what we're doing now is we're going back into something we've already started and we want to add more analysis. So the move D4, you look down at the live book, which is basically telling you all the information they have in their database. They have 49,000 visits. That means other users of this program have looked at this move. If we click it on, it's going to show up here in our line. Now, what I can do with you as a coach is start to explain why some of these moves are played. This has to do with pawn structure. Now, a couple of ways to input moves. Number one, you can just click on the live book move and it will show up here, or drag the move with your queen. Okay, now let's back that up. How do you do it? There's take back buttons here. You can also use the back arrows on your keyboard. That's what I just did. Okay, so I went back. Now in this position, I have a question for all of you. Does anyone think bishop e3 is a good move here? And I hope you all said no. It's clearly a blunder, right? Now, you don't see it listed here. So after this move d4, black really only had two moves that made sense. Okay, so from the, or white rather. So from this position, we know bishop e3 isn't played, but I want to show you the move anyway. Let's say we put the move bishop to e3 in there. If you look at the computer, it just went absolutely crazy. It says that we're down 0.427. Don't forget, white took a pawn here, and then they're going to take a bishop. So we're completely lost. So that is really not a good move. Now, see all those things that came up? I just right-clicked my mouse. Let me click in open space, it disappears. This move, bishop e3, is terrible. Right-click the move, and you have a choice to write down the type of move it is. Your own analysis, and don't forget I'll be doing this as well. Now, these here, the top two, do not touch yet. These two moves, when you click these on, will send that information into your opening database automatically. Save that for another day. If you want to annotate your own moves, only concentrate on the things down here that are in bold. What do you think of bishop e3? Interesting? White is better? Strong move or blunder? Yeah, blunder. Now look what's up here. Do you remember any other blunders up here? I do. I think after h3, h5, taking the pawn was not the best. Click on the move. Right? H takes g4. Did we like that? No. Right click. Probably a blunder, right? Also, sometimes you'll see the exclam and then question exclam. You see this how it works? Exclamation, strong move. Question mark, bad move. But when you mix the two up, if the exclamation point comes first, they're calling it interesting. If the question mark comes first, they're calling it dubious, which means doubtful, not so good. So taking the pawn doesn't really lose. If you look down at the computer evaluation, it has an equal sign with a plus sign at the bottom. Look over here. You see the same thing. Equal sign with a plus sign at the bottom. Black has a slight advantage. So you could click this on or this on, and I think you're pretty much telling yourself the same thing. Stay away from that move. If you fell into that like you did, you definitely don't want to play knight h2. We already saw what happened there. The computer is telling you if you play the move g3, you might survive this. You see how it's only saying that black has a slight advantage? Now after the move g3, you could lose a piece here, right? Well, don't forget, black's already sacrificed a piece. If they take, and they take, keep looking down, and you will see the computer evaluation is only saying black has, I don't know, about half a pawn advantage. Now, let me do some math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pawns for white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pawns for black. Material, equal. Why is black better? I'm not sure. Right click here. This is an unclear position or some question you have. Maybe you agree with the computer or that you're not sure what's going on, right? Okay. You don't know what to put here. Well, how about putting in a little text and writing not clear to me. Push enter. Look at that. The next time we have a chess lesson together, I can work on something that you've already started. Now, I want to save this. I don't want to just click goodbye because I'm going to lose all the new information. So when I click save again, All I have to do is click the top one, save. Not save is new. It's not a new game. Just click save. All of the information comes up that was already there. I agree with this. I don't have to change any of this. Click OK, and I'm done. Okay? I hope you spend some time working on this, because it's a good indication of where we're going next year. You start putting the time in now, amazing things are going to happen to your chess game. Okay, Grandmasters.